Impact of Environment on Health of Humans by Dr. Shivu P. Pediatrician, Gopal Gowda Shantaberi Memorial Hospital, Mysore, Karnataka. Phone +91 9448477380 +91 789 Mail shivup.183@gmail.com. Visit www.slideshare.net bar Dr. Shivu for more articles. Life inside this environment. Are we heading towards the end? A message to the leaders and the people of this world. Respected leaders and dear citizens of this world, we are all heading towards the end through our activities by making the air, water, food and the land poisonous. Please understand the relation between our activities and our environment by looking at the changes happened in the past and present and the expected events going to happen in the near future. All the data is presenting here are evidence based. I thank those organizations and individuals worked for it. Today, let us talk on the topic life inside this environment. Are we heading towards the end? A message to the leaders and the people of this world. Let us look into the impact of environment on the health of the humans. We are living in this solar system. Sun gives the oxygen through the plants, trees and ocean plants, that is phytoplankton, kelp and algal plankton by photosynthesis. Water and carbon dioxide are the basic need for this. Now, the carbon dioxide is produced in excess by the huge mass of animals, especially by the humans. We all know this formula which keeps the living things alive, that is C6H2O plus 6CO2 equals C6H12O6 plus 6O2. Please note, carbon dioxide essentially needs water to become the carbon mass with conservation of heat and energy. Food containing glucose and other carbon containing nutrients releases heat and energy as adenosine triphosphate, that is ATPs, for the functioning of a body and also release water and carbon dioxide that we excrete again into the environment. Let us look into the kingdom on this earth. Kingdom fights. It is surprising to know dead kills the living. Dead wins over the living. The mediators are the humans. The old kingdoms were the living kingdoms, plant kingdom, animal kingdom. New kingdom created by the man. It is the non-living kingdom, that is wealth kingdom, which includes buildings, factories, vehicles, metals like gold, platinum and so on. Kingdoms are fighting for the reasons unknown from the time unknown. The dead kingdom, that is the kingdom of wealth, is already started killing the kingdoms of animals and plants, including the creator of the dead kingdom, the humans. Important routes of entry of impairment causing impurities and injuries to disturb the health of humans in this environment are 4I. That is number 1, inhalation, number 2, ingestion, number 3, invasion, which may be local angioinvasive, lymphangioinvasive. Number 4, injury, it may be physical, chemical or radiological. Important causes which impairs the health of the humans in this environment are 8I. Number 1, infections, which may be viral, bacterial, fungal, atypical. Infestations may be protozoal, helminthic. Number 3, inflammation. Number 4, immune mediated. Number 5, injurious, which may be physical, chemical, radiational. Number 6, irritational metaplasia causing neoplasia. Number 7, inborn errors, that is metabolic anomalous syndromic due to chromosomal genetic defects. Number 8, inappropriate nutrition. Let us look into the composition of the question mark free air that we breathe throughout our life. The composition of the air is nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, argon 1%, carbon dioxide 0.03%, and water vapors, with few more minute elements that we are forced to inhale to live, which gives life us with good health if this air is good. The composition of the gas we exhale are 4% to 5% by volume more carbon dioxide and 4 to 5% by volume less oxygen that was inhaled. This expired air typically composed of 78.04% nitrogen, 13.6 to 16% oxygen. This exchange happens because of diffusion through concentration gradient. Physiology of lungs. Structure and functions of the air welcoming organs. Air enters our body through the nose, rotates in the paranasal sinuses, passes through the pharynx, larynx, trachea. Trachea divides as right and left bronchi before it divides 23 times as bronchi, bronchioles, and ends in the alveoli. At the end of each terminal bronchiolar duct, there are approximately 100 alveolar sacs, each containing 20 to 30 alveoli that are 200 to 300 micrometers in diameter. Each alveolar membrane is 1 cell thick and is in direct contact with capillaries that are also 1 cell thick. There are about 600 million alveoli in the lungs, with a total surface area of about 75 meters square. The large alveolar surface area combined with the thin membranes allows gas to diffuse easily across the alveolar wall. So this is how the oxygen comes. This is the deoxygenated blood in the capillary, perialveolar capillaries. So oxygen enters into the red blood cells of the capillaries and carbon dioxide diffuses back into the alveolar sac and goes out. So, and the oxygenated blood goes back to the heart through the pulmonary veins. See, the gases can dissolve and diffuse between the lungs and the circulatory system, and it's a single layer thin alveolar membrane, and this is a single layer thin capillary membrane, which makes the gas exchange easy. So the partial pressures of atmospheric gases. The partial pressures of atmospheric gases, these are the gases. This is the percentage of total composition, and this is the partial pressure in millimeters of mercury. Nitrogen is 78.6%, that is 597.4 millimeters of mercury. Oxygen is 20.9%, that is 158.8 millimeters of mercury. Water 0.04%, that is 3 millimeters of mercury. Carbon dioxide 0.004, that is 0.3 millimeters of mercury. Others are 0.006, that is 0.5 millimeters of mercury, and the total is 100%, that is 760 millimeters of mercury. So the partial pressures of oxygen at outside and inside our body, that is partial pressure of oxygen in the atmosphere at sea level is 160 millimeters of mercury, that is 21% at standard atmospheric pressure of 760 millimeters of mercury. Partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolar air is about 104 millimeters of mercury. Partial pressure of oxygenated pulmonary venous blood is about 100 millimeters of mercury. In arterial blood, it is between 75 millimeters of mercury to 100 millimeters of mercury. Oxygen tension in the venous blood at sea level is between 30 millimeters of mercury to 40 millimeters of mercury. Arterial blood gas and fractional inspiratory oxygen. We consider FiO2 of the air as 0.2. Is the FiO2 at the center of the city with packed vehicles, in the villages and in the forest are the same is the question to be evaluated. If there is relatively more carbon dioxide and less oxygen in the inspired oxygen, then how it is going to affect the gas exchange and from where the carbon dioxide is going to be excreted from the body are the questions to be evaluated. The following are the normal range results of blood gas test. That is, pH is 7.35 to 7.45. Partial pressure of the oxygen is 80 to 100 millimeters of mercury. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide 35 to 45 millimeters of mercury. Normal bicarbonate levels are 24 to 28 milliequivalents per liter. The composition of combustion gas. The composition of most of the combustion gas is nitrogen, water vapor, except with the pure carbon fuels, and carbon dioxide, except for fuels without carbon. These are non-toxic or non-noxious, although carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming. A relatively small part of the combustion gas is undesirable, noxious or toxic substances such as carbon monoxide from incomplete combustion, hydrocarbons from unburnt fuel, nitrogen oxides from excessive combustion temperature, and particulate matter, mostly soot. We need to analyze the composition of air present in the forest or in the village or in the center of the urban area with packed slowly moving vehicles, like whether all these air are the same. Changes in the inhaling air with mixed with combustion gas. See what happens. See, we have seen the nitrogen, the percentage of total composition and the partial pressure. So if this the air mixed with combustion gas, then the nitrogen level may relatively decrease. Oxygen level will definitely decrease. Water level may increase except with pure carbon fuels. Carbon dioxide level will definitely increase and others may increase. What are the effects of inhaling air mixed with combustion gas? Imagine if the inhaled air contains more concentration of carbon dioxide and less oxygen, then naturally the volume of carbon dioxide excreting from the lung will decrease and it will remain in the blood, or the body has to excrete it through other paths. Less oxygen in the inhaled air may lead to less oxygen diffusing into the blood. That is, relatively less oxygen and more carbon dioxide in the inhaled air make the lung to get less oxygen and excrete less carbon dioxide from the body. So the changes in the blood following inhalation of polluted air. So if we inhale polluted air, that is air mixed with combustion gas, then the oxygen level will come down. Okay, the carbon dioxide level will go up. So when we do ABG, okay, for such person, the pH may be near normal or might have decreased, may result into acidosis. The partial pressure of the oxygen will decrease, the partial pressure of the carbon dioxide will increase, and the bicarbonate level may go up. So what are the subclinical manifestations of inhalation of air mixed with combustion gas? Presently the oxygen may not be very low or the carbon dioxide concentration may not be very high to cause death suddenly. But many people, especially with compromised lung, or the people working at the polluted area, will suffer weakness, loss of energy, headache, poor working speed, poor concentration and lethargy. Apart from many related diseases and early death through respiratory failure, myocardial infarction, cerebrovascular accidents, and so on. Trees work as air purifier. Trees renew our air supply by absorbing carbon dioxide and producing oxygen. The amount of oxygen produced by an acre of trees per year equals the amount consumed by 18 people annually. One tree produces nearly 260 pounds of oxygen each year. 1 acre of trees removes up to 2.6 tons of carbon dioxide each year. 1 hectare, that is 2.47 acres, may contain over 750 types of trees and 1500 species of higher plants. Trees work as dust purifier. The moisture and the dew on the leaves makes the dust to stick on it and prevents the movement of dust in the ambient air and into the house. Trees gives protection against the dust storms. Roots of the trees provides pockets for the water to stay. Thus moisture in the soil is preserved and the formation of dust and the air becomes dry decreases. Trees decreases the process of evaporation of water from the soil or preserve soil moisture and thus the formation of dust. Trees provides shade for the varieties of small plants and grass which grows in the shade. These keeps the soil moist, prevents drying and also the erosion of the soil. Trees absorbs the particulate matter till the rain drops takes it to the soil and thus works like a barrier wall between the dust forming roads and the houses. Leaves take up carbon dioxide and gives oxygen to the atmosphere. Take dust as the sign of global warming. We can see more dust adsorbed over the leaves which are close to the road and less dust particles over the leaves which are a little away from the road. Thus trees make the dust not to fly for long distance and thus prevents the particulate matter entering the living area. We get more dust when the atmosphere is hot and dry, which is a sign of global warming due to poor surface water management with this population. Trees prevent spread of particulate matter. By growing a lane of trees which acts like a wall at the areas where there is possibility of generation of particulate matter will significantly reduces the pollution spreading outside the lane of the trees and indoor air quality becomes better for the houses present close to the roads. If there is sufficient space for these trees, who implants these trees, who provides water for these trees, who protects these trees from animals and humans, who looks after the livelihood of the people who take care of these plants are some of the issues to be addressed. Plants help our health. An ordinary cement compound will not absorb dust and particulate matter to the extent the plant compound does. And for sure it is not going to absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. In this aspect, a compound of plants is useful to the mankind. Land pollution leads to impure soil. The dust generating from the pure soil is less allergic. Now it is difficult to see the dust with pure soil. And most of the time these dust from the soil will also contain highly allergic materials like pollen, soot, chemical pollutants as free pollutants are smeared on physical particulate matter. The common pollutants are particulate matter, carbon monoxide, lead, nitrogen oxide, ground level ozone and sulfur oxides. Particulate matters are injurious to the health of the animals and plants. PM stands for particulate matter, also called particulate pollutant. The term for a mixture of solid particles and liquid droplets found in the air. Some particles such as dust, dirt, soot or smoke are larger and dark enough to be seen with the naked eye. Others are so small they can only be detected using an electronic microscope. There are varieties of particulate pollutants having different size, shape, weight with different chemical and physical composition. Smaller particulate matters tend to remain in the troposphere and may not settle on the ground on their own. PM10, inhalable particles with diameter that are generally 10 micrometers and smaller, and PM 2.5, fine inhalable particles with a diameter that are generally 2.5 micrometers and smaller. Comparing particulate matter with an hair. How small is 2.5 micrometers? Think about a single hair from the head. The average human hair is about 70 micrometers in diameter, making it 30 times larger than the largest fine particles. So we can see this is the human hair, 50 to 70 micrometers in diameter. This is a fine beach sand, it's about 90 micrometers in diameter. A PM 2.5, particulate matter 2.5, these are all combustion particles, organic compounds, metals, etc., which are less than 2.5 micrometers. So you can see here. So PM10, that is dust, pollen, mold, etc., they may be less than 10 micrometers in diameter. So this blue one is maybe the 10 micrometer particulate matter, and this red one, okay, which is enlarged here, is 2.5 micrometer in size. Sources of particulate matter. Some are emitted directly from a source, such as construction sites, unpaved roads, fields, smokestacks or fires. Most particles form in the atmosphere as a result of complex reactions of chemicals such as sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides, which are pollutants emitted from power plants, industries and automobiles. What are the harmful effects of particulate matter? Particulate matter contains microscopic solids or liquid droplets that are so small that they can be inhaled and cause serious health problems. Some particles less than 10 micrometers in diameter can get deep into the lungs, and some may even get into the bloodstream. Particles less than 2.5 micrometers in diameter, also known as fine particles, or PM 2.5, pose the greatest risk to the health. Health effects of particulate matter. The size of particles is directly linked to their potential for causing health problems. Exposure to such particles can affect both the lungs and the heart. Numerous scientific studies have linked particle pollutant exposure to a variety of problems, including premature death in people with heart or lung diseases, irregular heartbeat, non-fatal heart attacks, decreased lung function, aggravated asthma, increased respiratory symptoms such as irritation of the airways, coughing or difficulty in breathing, People with heart or lung diseases, children, and older adults are the most likely to be affected by particle pollution exposure. Environmental effects of particulate matter. Visibility impairment. Fine particles, that is PM 2.5, are the main cause of reduced visibility haze in many parts, including many of the national parks and wilderness areas. Environmental damage. Particles can be carried over long distances by wind and then settle on ground or water. Depending on their chemical composition, the effects of this settling may include making lakes and streams acidic, changing the nutrient balance in coastal waters and large river basins, depleting the nutrients in soil, damaging sensitive forest and farm crops, affecting the diversity of ecosystem, contributing to acid rain effects. Materials damage. Particulate matter can stain and damage stone and other materials, including culturally important objects such as statues and monuments. Some of these effects are related to acid rain effects on the materials. Types of respiratory pollutants. Carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, methylene chloride, nitrogen dioxide, tetrachloroethylene, chlorpyrifos, lead, mercury, methyl mercury, nitrogen oxides, nitrogen dioxide, ground level ozone, sulfur dioxide, particulate matters, acrolein, asbestos, benzene, carbon disulfide, creosote, fuel oil, kerosene, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, synthetic vitreous fibers, total petroleum hydrocarbons, animal and bird and excreta proteins, separated and dead and decaying materials from animals and birds are some of the respiratory pollutants. Types of respiratory pollutants, that is outdoor air pollutants. Air pollutants have complex chemical and physical features dependent on the sources of pollutants. Outdoor air pollutants are either derived from human activities such as industrial emissions, road traffic, residential heating, shipping, air traffic, construction, agricultural activities, war and fire accidents, are from natural hazards such as earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, spontaneous forest fires and extreme temperature. Although natural hazards occur independent of human activities, they affect the living environment, health and lives of humans as hazardous events. Types of respiratory pollutants, that is indoor air pollutants. Indoor air pollutants are generally released from smoking, building materials, air conditioning, house cleaning or air refreshing products, heating, lighting and wood, fuel or coal usage in cooking. Chemically, these pollutants can be presented as the vapor forms of inorganic pollutants such as ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide, or as the vapor forms of organic pollutants such as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, monocyclic hydrocarbons, benzene, toluene, xylene and aliphatic chemicals. Structure and source of respiratory pollutants. The particulate forms of air pollutants, however, usually consist of an inner carbon core with various organic pollutants and or heavy metals on the surface. The most harmful forms of particulate matter include PM10, that is less than 10 micrometers in aerodynamic diameter, fine particles of 2.5 and ultra fine particulates, that is less than 0.1 micrometer or 100 nanometers, which can be released from diesel engines, volcanoes, asbestos, unpaved roads, flowing burning fields, lint pollens and spores. Short and long term effects of air pollution. Air pollution increases the risk of respiratory diseases such as asthma, respiratory infections, and COPD in children and adults. Maternal exposure to air pollution mediates both short term and long term effects on the respiratory system. As described, extensive epidemiological and meta analysis studies showed the association between prenatal air pollution exposure and adverse birth outcomes, including preterm births, intrauterine growth restriction, low birth weight, pregnancy loss, and defective fetal lung development. Investigations are required for better understanding of causative pathways in the environmentally induced late onset and respiratory diseases. Air pollution and its short and long term effects on the developing fetus. The maternal exposure and disorder further impacts on the fetal lung functional and structural development, leading to various late onset respiratory diseases, abnormal lung development, disrupted immune responses, and altered epigenetic regulations were suggested as potential underlying mechanisms. So we can see there are various pollutants, that is inorganic pollutants, ozone, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, particulate pollutants, and other organic pollutant. And some of the allergens will enter into the mother's body through respiration, and it goes to the placenta. In placenta there are macrophage, that is the Aufpühner cells, dendritic cells, trophoblast, natural killer cells, B cells, T cells. So they enter the baby. So it will also lead to some epigenetics. It also enters the baby's GIT through amniotic fluid. So it leads to increased IgE level, interleukin 4, interleukin 13, and Th2 levels will go up. So there is an oxidative stress in this way, and there may be decreased fetal lung development. So this type of pollutants will be directly inhaled by children, the entire family people, and the developing child also will become an older child and become an adult, and later they may develop asthma, wheezing, eczema, lower FEV1, that is forced expiratory volume 1, and allergies and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. Combustion gas mixing with air is becoming a continuous process. We live in cities and in villages with our vehicles for our movement. We are not living inside the thick forest routinely. Trees which produces oxygen are not moving with us. Vehicles which produces harmful gases move with us most of the time. At present we get the polluted air even if we are not using the vehicle. Environment tries to equilibrate these gases by diffusion and thus try to protect us. This process takes some time, but by that time we breathe that harmful gas several times. By the time environment equilibrates and makes the air less poisonous, we again add harmful gases to the place where we live. This process is continuing endlessly. We are destroying the oxygen generator continuously. 25 crore houses covering more than 3 lakh square kilometers of land in the name of building out of 30 lakh square kilometers of total available land in India is an example. Created more than 70 lakh kilometers of road occupying more than 1 lakh square kilometers of land out of 30 lakh square kilometers of total available land is the another instance. There were 3 lakh registered vehicles in the year 1950 in India. Now it is more than 25 crores is the another instance. We are destroying the oxygen generator continuously to continue. We burn more than 150 crore liters of petroleum products in a day in India by taking more than 300 crore liters of crude oil, and the over surface can collapse anytime. Annual usage of 800 million tons of petroleum product divided by 365 days divided by 140 crore people is equal to 1.56 liters per day per person. To get this, we need 3 liters of crude oil. There were 11 lakh square kilometers of forest cover in India at the time of independence. Now it is 7 lakh square kilometers. That is, we have destroyed 4 lakh square kilometers of forest already after the independence. So these are some of the instances we have already seen. So the greenhouse gases. The gases that trap heat in that atmosphere are called greenhouse gases. These gases absorb and emit radiant energy within the thermal infrared range, causing the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is a natural process that warms the Earth's surface. When the sun's energy reaches the Earth's atmosphere, some of it is reflected back to the space and the rest is absorbed and re-radiated by greenhouse gases. The absorbed energy warms the atmosphere and the surface of the Earth. This process maintains the Earth's temperature at around 33 degrees Celsius warmer than it would otherwise be, allowing life on the Earth to exist. Enhanced greenhouse effect. The problem we now face is the human activities, particularly burning fossil fuels like coal, oil and natural gas, agriculture and land clearing, are increasing the concentration of greenhouse gases. This is the enhanced greenhouse effect which is contributing to warming of the earth, that is global warming. So greenhouse effect. Step 1. Solar radiation reaches the earth's atmosphere. Some of this is reflected back into the space. Step 2. The rest of the sun's energy is absorbed by the land and the ocean, heating the earth. Step 3. Heat radiates from the earth towards the space. Step 4. Some of the heat is trapped by greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, keeping the earth warm enough to sustain life. Step 5. Human activities such as burning fossil fuels, agriculture and land clearing are increasing the amount of greenhouse gases released into the atmosphere. Step 6. This is the trapping of extra heat and causing Earth's temperature to rise, that is global warming. So what are the greenhouse gases? Greenhouse gases are water vapors, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, ground level ozone, fluorinated gases like chlorofluorocarbons, hydrofluorocarbons, including HCFC and HFCS. Volatile organic compounds. Volatile organic compounds are organic chemicals that have an high vapor pressure at room temperature. High vapor pressure correlates with the low boiling point, which relates to the number of the samples molecules in the surrounding air, a trait known as volatility. They are emitted as gases from certain solids or liquids. Volatile organic compounds includes a varieties of chemicals, some of which may have short and long-term adverse health effects. Volatile organic compounds. Volatile organic compounds are benzene, ethylene glycol, formaldehyde, methylene chloride, tetrachloroethylene, toluene, xylene, 1,3-butadiene, acetone, acetic acid, carbon disulfide, alcohols and so on. Common sources of volatile organic compounds. Household products includes paints, paint strippers and other solvents, wood preservatives, aerosol spray, cleansers and disinfectants, moth repellents and air fresheners, stored fuels and automobile products, hobby supplies, dry cleaning, clothing, pesticides. Other products includes building materials and furnishing, office equipment such as copiers and printers, correction fluids and carbonless copy paper, graphics and craft materials including glues and adhesives, permanent markers and photographic solutions. Health effects and exposure to volatile organic compounds. There will be eye, nose and throat, respiratory tract irritation, epistaxis, dyspnea, headache, loss of coordination, nausea and vomiting, visual disorders and memory impairment, damage to liver, kidney, central nervous system, allergic skin reactions, decline in serum cholinesterase level, fatigue. Some organics can cause cancers in animals. Some are suspected or known to cause cancer in humans. The ability of organic chemicals to cause health effects varies greatly from those that are highly toxic to those with no known health effects. Step 2. Reduce exposure to volatile organic compounds. Increase ventilation when using products that emit volatile organic compounds. Meet or exceed any label precautions. Do not store opened containers or unused paints and similar materials within the school. Formaldehyde, one of the best known volatile organic compounds, is one of the few indoor air pollutants that can be readily measured. Identify and if possible remove the source. If not possible to remove, reduce exposure by using a sealant on all exposed surfaces or paneling and other furnishing. Use integrated pest management techniques to reduce the need for pesticides. Use household products according to the manufacturer's directions. Make sure you provide plenty of fresh air when using these products. Throw away unused or little used containers safely. Buy in quantities that you will be using soon. Keep out of reach of children and pets. Never mix household care products unless directed on the label. The smog due to ground level ozone will tell the extent of pollution. Smog, formed mainly above urban centers, is composed mainly of tropospheric ozone plus primary particulate matter such as pollen and dust, secondary particulate matter such as sulfur oxides, volatile organic compounds, nitrogen oxides and ammonia gas. Volatile organic compounds contributes for greenhouse gases. Nitrogen and oxygen are existing in the atmosphere in plenty, that is 78 and 21% respectively. They do not fuse together, but under high temperature they fuse one another and form nitrogen oxide, which happens commonly in the vehicle engine, some of the industries, at the site of metal welding, lightning and so on. They will be released into the troposphere. In the troposphere, this nitrogen oxide fuse with volatile organic compound molecules by photochemical reactions by the heat of the sunlight and forms the ground level ozone, a greenhouse gas which is injurious to both animals and plants. Global warming affects the lungs. Global warming and climate changes due to increased ground level ozone which is inhaled cause airway inflammation and damage to the lung tissue. Air pollution certainly interferes with the lung defenses, thus facilitates the development of pulmonary diseases such as rhinosinusitis, respiratory tract infections, exacerbation of pulmonary disease, allergies and asthma. The lung is one of the most important organs exposed to environmental agents. Exposure to air pollution increases the risk for lung cancers, heart attacks, strokes and in extreme cases premature death. Extreme temperature events, both hot and cold, changes in the air pollution, changes in the allergen deposition and consequent allergies and dust storms affects the lungs either in short or long term. Manage the existing pollutants in helping to reduce global warming and climate change. We do not know since when these pollutants in the atmosphere are existing and when, where and how they are going to go. It is definitely possible to decrease the production of volatile organic compounds, greenhouse gases, particulate matters, adding into the atmosphere to reduce global warming and climate changes, for which community cooperative coordinated activity with human touch is required. Global warming and climate change decreases with decreasing pollutants that is possible with model village and model nation. Now we know these pollutants, we know the source, we know how they can be recycled or how to reduce the quantity of production or how to modify the pollutants which are less toxic to the environment and humans. To apply these principles to the maximum with minimum time period, before these changes injures or damages or kills all of us, create one model village for 1 lakh population in about 4 square kilometers building with the land of 6 to 8 kilometers of radius around the model village to grow all that we eat in 2/3 area of land and the trees that we never cut in 1/3 area of the land to absorb greenhouse gases and to form carbon mass is the need. Manage the existing pollutants in helping to reduce global warming and climate change. Get water to all these activities by effective management of the available surface water at individual, family, community, national level, giving justice to both flood and drought areas and connecting ourselves through convenient road and railway track system to reduce the length of roads will reduce the volatile organic compounds, greenhouse gases, particulate matters to the maximum in this environment. Where we live to restore the respiratory health in particular and the general health in general with reduction in global warming and climate changes. Expectations from system of model village and model nation. System of creating one model village for 1 lakh population decreases the need for vehicle, need for travel, volume of fossil fuel usage, the length and breadth of the roads, the area consumed by the residences and buildings, the destruction of forest and agriculture lands, the waste generation, the quantity of land filling, the volume of liquid waste, the waste from the livestock, the agricultural waste, the need for the production which produces volatile organic acid as indoor pollutants, air, water, food, land, light, sound pollution. And this will also increase the number of trees, air, water, food quality. With model village system, universal sustainable biological treatment system can be incorporated to decrease the volume of volatile organic compounds entering into the atmosphere. Artificial methods to reduce the pollutants. There are various methods available to reduce pollutants like volatile organic compounds production like physico-chemical methods like thermal oxidation, recuperative, regenerative, catalytic, condensation, absorption, adsorption, chemical scrubbing, biological methods like biofiltration, biotrickling, bioscrubbing. There are various methods available to convert pollutants to different forms. There are methods available to convert the pollutant gases to solids. For example, converting carbon dioxide to silicon carbide, a stone-like material which may be useful in some of the industries and in some of the gadgets. This process may require high energy heating source. Natural is natural. Nature is compatible with natural methods. Artificial methods may be good in small scale and for research purposes. The question here is from where we are going to get a high energy source to convert the pollutants to different materials and huge quantity of high energy source. What is the impact on the environment through this process? How we are going to transport these pollutants from the place of pollutant generation to the place of conversion. What happens to these solid materials in long run? Where to store these solids if it is produced in large quantities using most of the carbon containing waste, aiming carbon neutral environment without taking measures to decrease the production of carbon containing waste. What are the byproducts? Will they give oxygen as their waste and so on? Growing trees. to the optimum extent, creating the lifestyle in such a way where the need for emission causing vehicles and factories decreases to the maximum extent in getting our food in our stay, for our travel between our residence and the place of work or school. This becomes more natural and becomes compatible with nature. Trees as the treatment for global warming and climate changes. What is the main medicine in this treatment? Growing trees in 1/3 of the land in all the model villages will convert the carbon dioxide into carbon mass, and thus the load of greenhouse gases decreases provided the trees gets adequate water and nutrients from the soil, as carbon dioxide alone is not going to grow the tree. In the absence of water in the soil, the load of greenhouse gases is not going to decrease, and hence the global warming and climate changes. Tall and big trees has higher mass of carbon, and such type of trees are seen where the ground and underground water sources are adequate as compared to the same species of trees seen in different places where there is scarcity of water. So effective management distribution of the available surface water is the key in reducing the long load of greenhouse gases. Wells and bore wells provide underground water to the humans. UGD and box drainages prevents recharge of underground tables. Trees depend on the underground water for their survival. Agriculture land and rural India has 4 to 5 bore wells per hectare of land. Urban area may have more than 10 bore wells per hectare of land. We extract underground water excessively and continuously more than its recharge. We make the surface rain water, sewage and sewage water to flow in concrete box and drainage and underground drainage system. Thus, there is no percolation at the site where the underground water is less or nil. More and more areas are becoming deserts. We have planted few thousand hectares of plant samplings from the past few decades on one side, and we have destroyed few lakh square kilometers of forest land manually and extracted all the possible underground water through bore wells, and thus we made trees to die spontaneously on the other side. With all these things, the environmental temperature is increasing. Surface water at the place where the people live is decreasing. Land are becoming dry without the water content. Dry soil is covering more and more area, and thus the drought prone areas are increasing. When it reaches its peak, that area goes for desertification. So let us see this. Trees are not getting their share of water. How? Excess extraction of water from the underground table more than the recharge. So this is the bore well. So we are extracting more water. Excess utilization of water due to overcrowding in the house, increased population and adding harmful chemicals to the water. There are more people in the house and there are many houses. The excess water used or unused contaminated water enters the UGD box drainage and will not contribute to the underground water recharge at the area. So like this we are making the water to flow in the box drainages. So more vehicle make the air more hot, increases the process of evaporation, keeps the land and air dry and hot, generation of more volatile organics compounds, particulate matters, greenhouse gases like ground level ozone, causing chlorosis and necrosis of the plant tissue. Sewage water containing harmful chemical reaching the roots of the trees from damaged septic tank and UGD underground drainage causes chemical injury to these trees. Necrosed and dead plant roots and other structures of the tree lose their normal flexibility and fall suddenly with wind. So this is the broken branch. So that means we may not be cutting the trees all the time, but all of us at all the time are busy in killing trees, that is the lung space, without our knowledge. Trees prevents pollution, keeps the soil moist, decreasing dust formation with its lower stem, roots and shade, gives home for many plants which grows in the shade. These plants with the tree protects the topsoil with microbiota. The dew on the leaves makes the dust particle to get sticked till the rain takes it with its drops, takes carbon dioxide and gives oxygen. If there are more trees between the house and between the road and house, then there is less chances of getting allergens. Allergen is an allergen. Poison is a poison. Wherever it goes, it injures, kills if possible, not only to humans but the entire animal kingdom. Dust from the soil or sand may not be allergic to the respiratory system to the greater extent, but they are not pure. They contain many allergens like parthenium, pollens, proteins, particles of dead dried animals, birds, insects, soot and chemicals from vehicles and factories, paints, insecticides, pesticides, chemical fertilizers, hazardous, slow and fast releasing materials from land, filling and so on. A pollutant or an allergen or a poison is not going to change their property wherever they go, like into the air or into the surface water or to the underground water or to the land, or they retain their character in a sustainable way. Optimum nutrition is the need to maintain healthy lung. Good balanced nutrition is the need for the growth and functioning of the lung and the body. It supports the age appropriate normal growth of the lung, helps to maintain normal physiology of the lungs like optimum secretion of surfactant, optimum secretion of mucus, functioning of cilia, repair of the damaged epithelium and interstitium, the development of immunity such as a way that it gives protection against all pathogens but not recognizing its own tissue as foreign. So this is to get optimum nutrition, we need 2000 liters of water per day per person on an average. Let us look into the group of food articles, its quantity in grams, the water requirement to grow that quantity of food, the area in square meters to grow that quantity of food. So if we take cereals, we need 500 grams per day, which requires 750 liters. Okay, that is, and the land requirement is 500 meter square. Pulses, we eat 100 grams per day, which requires 100 liters of water to grow, and it needs 200 square meters of land to grow. Vegetables, we eat 200 grams per day, which requires 200 liters of water and which requires 400 square meters of land. Fruits, we eat for 200 grams per day, which requires 200 liters to grow, which needs 400 square meters of land for the growth. Oil, coconut, we eat 50 ml per day, requires 50 liters of water for the growth, and requires 400 square meters of land. Milk, we consume 200 ml. The cow needs 200 liters of water per day, and the grass or the area which the cows needs for their grazing is about 200 square meters. Sugar, we eat 30 grams per day, which requires 100 liters of water per day, and the land requirement is 100 square meters to grow that. The meat, We may be eating 100 grams per day, which requires 150 liters of water for the animals. And animal for the graze to occur, it's about 200 square meters of land is required. Spices, we may be eating 15 grams, which requires 50 liters of water, and the land requirement is 100 square meters. And salt we consume 5 grams, and the water required for drinking is about 2 liters, and for bathing and washing clothes, house, all those things, the total requirement is 200 liters. So, and thus if we add all these things, and it becomes 2000 liters of water per day per person on an average is the requirement. To get optimum nutrition, we need 2000 liters of water per day per person approximately. So again, the food article, quantity in grams, water required to grow that quantity of food, area in square meters to grow that quantity of food. When we total it, so the total weight of the food item in grams per day per person is 1400 grams. Total water requirement per day per person in liter is 2000 liters. Total area of land required to meet the daily need of the food is 2500 square meters. Total volume of air required to meet one day's breathing is 500 ml per breath into 20 breaths into 60 minutes in a day, 60 minutes in a hour multiplied by 24 hours in a day. So that becomes 14,400 liters of air we are going to breathe. So total volume of oxygen required to meet one day's breathing is, that is 100 ml per breath we are taking, multiplied by 20 breaths into 60 minutes in a hour multiplied by 24 hours. That is 2880 liters of oxygen we consume. So per day. Total weight of the oxygen under standard atmospheric temperature and pressure is 0.342 cubic meter of oxygen at 21 degree centigrade, and at 1 atmospheric weighs 1 pound. So that means if we are taking 2880 liters, it becomes 8.8 pounds. So the number of big trees needed to meet daily oxygen need is about 12 if we calculate this, because we have already discussed that the one big tree will be producing 260 pounds of oxygen per year. Changes in the environment and its impact on the health of humans. Pollution, poisons, allergens, infections, overcrowding, adulteration are increasing with increase in population. Per capita space, physical, social distancing because of more people in less space are decreasing with increase in population. So we are busy. The system makes us busy, and now it is not possible to escape from this for all of us. All of us are busy in our own work, like studies, work, preaching, earning, but not all of us are busy in thinking what we are breathing, drinking and eating. All of us are busy in cutting trees for one or the other reasons, like house building, getting interiors, furnitures, road, railway, factory construction. But not all of us are busy in implanting plants and conserving them, converting them into big trees. All of us are busy in adding poisons to our environment in the form of pesticide, insecticide, fertilizers, and inhaling, drinking and eating the same. But not all of us are busy in thinking how these plants which gives the food existed before these pesticides, insecticides, fertilizers came in. It is not possible to expect a few changes even with rise in population. As the population rises, it is not possible to breathe less to save air for others. It is not possible to drink less to save water for others. It is not possible to eat less to save food for others. Trees will not release more oxygen as they cannot see more people. More weight of the food does not mean there is more needed nutrients in it. Yield from the unit area of land will not rise many folds as the land is not able to sense more people. Nutrition in the food will not rise in the absence of nutrients in the soil as it does not have the mind. Plants will not have the kindness to give poison-free food when they are getting varieties of poisons and harmful chemicals as it does not have the heart. So let us look world population and their daily requirement. See, when there were only one couples, so many lakh years back, so that is there are rows, different rows, time gap in years. This is the year and this is the year. Okay. So this is the daily requirement. See, the daily requirement of air for one couple was 28,800 liters in the beginning. That is so many when the man came into this world. That is the first couples, our great grand ancestors. So it took 2 lakh years to reach 1 billion population. It took only 124 years to become 2 billion people on this earth. It took next 33 years only to become 3 billion people. It took next 15 years only to become 4 billion people in the year 1973. Then every once in 12 years 1 billion people is adding into this world. So our population become 5 billions in the year 1985, 6 billions in the year 1997 and 7 billions by the year 2009 years. Now this time period is 11 years. Now that is it became 7.6 billions by the year 2020. So the expected thing is, that is projection is by 2030, okay, that is in the 10 years gap, the population becomes 8.6 billions on this earth, and by 2050 the population on this earth becomes 9.8 billions. So the gap is maybe increasing, maybe because of effective family planning techniques, and by 2100, that is 50 years, so it may rise to 11.2 billions maybe. So the possibility of death may increase with maybe undernutrition or non-communicable diseases. So now as the population increases, so the requirement of air is also going to increase. Okay, so in 1800 year, that is beginning of 18th century, this is in billion liters, 14,400 liter was enough. Now, okay, maybe in the year 2020 the same thing has increased to 9,440 billion liters of air is the need per day. And if you consider the oxygen, when first couple were there, they were requiring only 5,760 liters of oxygen in a day. But now it will increase with the growth in the population. That is, in the year 1800 the oxygen requirement was 2,880 billion liters. Now this now the same oxygen requirement becomes 21,888 billion liters. Like this, with the increase in the population, the requirement is also increasing. That is oxygen in pounds, this is also increasing the requirement. But the number of trees in billions per it was only 24 trees were enough for the first couple to breathe happily. Now, so it is the 12 billion was the requirement in for the population to breathe in the year 1800. Now in the year 2020 it was 91.2 billion trees were needed, but this is decreasing. So the water requirement only 4000 liters per day was enough for the first couple. By the year when the population became 1 billion, which took more than 2 lakh years. Okay, yeah. So the water requirement was 2000 billion liters. In TMC it was 74 TMC. Now in the year 2020 the water requirement is 15,200 billion liters or 562 TMC. So like this, so the requirement of air and the oxygen inside that and the number of trees and then the water requirement, they are all increasing with increase in the population. See, if we calculate, so the requirement of cereals, okay, 1 kg was enough for the first couples, and pulses 0.2 kgs, 0.4 kgs of vegetables, 0.4 kgs of fruits, 0.1 kg of oil, 0.4 kgs of milk, 0.06 kgs of sugar, 0.2 kgs of meat, 0.03 kgs of spices, 0.01 kgs of salt, and 0.5 hectares of land to grow all these things was enough for them, for the first couple. Okay, that is 5000 square meters of land was enough. But the population is increasing. As the population is increasing, so this is in billion kgs. In when the population reaches 1 billion, the total requirement of cereals was 0.5 billions. And when the population became 7.6 billions in the year 2020, so the total requirement became 3.8 billion kgs of cereals. The pulses 0.1 billions in the year when the population was 1 billion. Now the requirement of the pulses in 2020 year when the population became 7.6 billion is 0.76 billion kgs. So like that the requirement of all the things and the requirement of land is also increasing. This is more important. See so this is in billion hectares. 0.25 billion hectares were the requirement in the year 1800. Now in 2020 1.9 billion hectares is the requirement, or it is 190 lakh square kilometers. Okay, so like that the land requirement for doing agriculture is also increasing. So those who are interested can pause the video and can go through all the values in detail. So when we consider India's population, so in the year 1871 the India's population was 0.238 billion. Okay, now in 2021 the India's population is 1.39 billions, and in 2030 we are expecting a hike till that up to 2050 we are expecting a hike, that is in 2030 it becomes 1.5 billions, and in 2050 even though there is decline in the rate of growth in population, it will reach 1.63, and then by 2100 it is expected 1.09 billions, and the reasons are varieties, maybe diseases, malnutrition, poverty, and so many things. So in the same way, as the population increases, so the requirement of air in liter also increases. In 1871, it was 3,427 billions. When we get the independence, that is in the year 1947, maybe population was the estimations were not up to date up to the year 1951. So in the year 1951, the requirement of air in billion liters were 5,198. So like that it is increasing. Now it is 20,016 billion liters of air is the need for the present population, 1.4 billion population. In the same way, the oxygen requirement is also going up. The oxygen in pound, that is conversion, is also going up, and the number of trees needed for the respiration is also going up. So the requirement was in 1871 it was 2.85 billion trees were required for the Indian population. In 2021 it was 16.68 billion trees is the requirement, and we have maybe about 37 billion trees are there at present in India. Maybe, but this is only for respiration. That we need to understand. Trees are also required for so many things, like for the movement of vehicles, for cooking, gas. Oxygen is required for cooking also. So like that, for many reasons. See, this 18 billion trees for only for breathing, for people, not for animals, which excludes that animal breathing, vehicle consumption, combustion, oxygen requirement, and then cooking requirement. So that means we are in the verge. Our oxygen generation and oxygen, the number of trees are almost coming very closer, very tight. So we may end up in problem in near future. And the water requirement in TMCs, okay, so this is also increasing. So in the year 2021, so the total requirement is 102 TMCs. Okay, but the thing is we have to manage the surface water well, so that we will not have problem in the near future. In the same way, so the requirement of cereals, pulses, vegetables, fruits, oil, milk, sugar, meat, spices, salt, so all these things are going up, and the land requirement is also going up. Okay, so the thing is we don't have this much land. Say for example, if you take population in the year 2021 1.39, that is 1.4 billions, and the land requirement is 34.75 lakh square kilometers, but we don't have that much land only. The entire India, okay, including everything, that is cities, forest area, everything including, it is only 30 lakh square kilometers. That means we have only land, half of the land enough to grow our food. Another half we are dependent on what? Dependent on imports. See, if the import stops with rise in population of the world, we will suddenly land up in problem. That we need to understand. See, we for the present population we need 34 lakh square kilometers of land, but we don't have that much. India has only 17 lakh square kilometers of agriculture land as of now. The truth that we need to realize is the inferences from these tables are: the first couple were only 2 but full of trees, but it was compatible. Now population is increasing, but the trees are decreasing, which is not compatible. The need for the air, oxygen, water, food is increasing, as the population is increasing and it is reaching the level of exhaustion soon. India does not have sufficient land to support the people of its own nation, so more than half of the people on the nation consume food which is imported. The present trees present in India is just enough to meet the respiratory need of the people and the oxygen need of the vehicles, factories, cooking stoves and lamps. The future that we need to realize is, the inferences from the table is scarcity of tree space, forest increasing the respiratory illness, and the blood becomes acidic, thus there is a burden on the system of acid-base balance, kidneys and lungs. Scarcity of agricultural lands leads to scarcity of food inside the nation, thus there is more dependency on import which may stop at any time as there is rise in the population of the exporting nation. Scarcity of land for digestion of waste will lead to more population, pollution and pollution related diseases, more so the respiratory illnesses. Thus, our own excreta and emission started injuring ourselves as they are not able to find out a suitable space for them to settle, and we are also not showing needed responsibility for the same. The truth that we need to realize is, the population of the world may start declining, maybe after 2100, but the scary expectation is for India, where the death rate becomes more from 2030 and may reach its peak by 2050 and may continue till 2100. More than 50 crore deaths are expected in 50 years between 2050 to 2100. That becomes the daily death of 40,000. The medical professionals may make a different diagnosis like infections, infestations like protozoal, helminthic, inflammation, immune mediated, injurious, physical, chemical, radiational, irritational, metaplasia causing neoplasia, inborn and so on. We may see many acute and subacute events of thromboinflammation leading to embolism leading to death, like strokes and myocardial infarctions. Many a times people may suffer for a long time with varieties of illnesses like respiratory illnesses, allergies, hypersensitivity diseases, immune mediated diseases, inflammatory diseases, renal diseases, hepatic diseases. Infections may decrease, but the drug resistant infections may rise. All these are maybe due to less land for lungs, less land for gastrointestinal tract, inadequate imports, less land for digestion of excreta, leading to increased air pollution, malnutrition, more respiratory illnesses and varieties of diseases. So the per capita land requirement consideration in square meters. So the developed countries, there are developing countries with less population, there are developing countries with more population. Present per capita land area available in India, we will. For breathing, developed countries considers 10,000 square meters. Developing countries with less population, they may consider 5,000 square meters per person. Developing countries with more population like India, we are considering 2,500 square meters per person. But the present per capita land available in India is, for this purpose, for breathing is, that is only 500. Very scary, 500 square meters. For eating, developed countries considers 10,000 square meters, and developing countries with less population consider 5,000. Developing countries with more population countries like India considers 2,500 square meters per person per day. But the scary thing is, we have only half. That is, present per capita land area available in India for eating is only 1,250 square meters. For digestion of excreta, developed countries considers it as 10,000 square meters. Developing countries, they with less population considers 5,000 square meters. And developing countries with more population consider it as 2500 square meters, but the scary thing in India is it's only 500 square meters available at present. So the total per capita land area per person, developed countries they consider it as 30,000 square meters, developing countries with less population consider it as 15,000 square meters, and developing countries with more population consider it as 7,500, but we have per capita land in India only 2,250 square meters. So that means the land of India is supporting a lot of population which is not compatible for breathing, eating and digestion of excreta. And naturally the people are suffering, and the sufferings may increase if we don't take measures. Manage the surface water well to keep the air clean. Decreased space meant for breathing causes decreased clearance of air pollutants like volatile organic compounds, greenhouse gases, particulate matters. Thus, there is more respiratory injuries, modulations in the lung tissues in the process of repair and clearance of injury causing agents, morbidity related to respiratory system, and overall growth retardation and mortality. To keep the air free from dust, keep the land moist and cover it with greenery. Replenish underground table more, that is more than what we extract. Make the water to flow slowly, thus give more time for the soil to facilitate the process or percolation. Trees and plants, ponds, pits, buildings, check dams and so on will help in this process. Slow down the process of evaporation. Trees and their shades will help in this process. Space and water are the need to get the food we need. Decreased space for food causes malnutrition and nutrition related physical growth retardation, mental growth retardation, morbidity, mortality. It is the nutrients in the nutritious food that is going to matter for the growth, development, immunity, which is protective and not self-injurious. Getting more yield in terms of weight is not going to ensure the needed nutrients in the food. And we also need to understand there is limitation for all these things even from the side of Mother Earth. Space and water are the need to get the food we need. Regular consumption of food containing poison like pesticides, insecticides, which was about 100 milligrams per day per person in the year 2000, has become 4000 milligrams per day per person in the year 2020. Through the food we consume, through the water we drink, through the air we inhale, is making the people more morbid and adds to the mortality without our knowledge. We also consume water and food mixed with chemical fertilizers, ripening agents, preservatives which are becoming toxic in the due course, hormones causing its ill effects and so on regularly. Space and clean behavior are the need to keep the environment and humans healthy. Waste produced from humans is causing lot of damage to the humans, and this damage increases many times if there is decreased space and of land for digestion of the same. Now the water of the sea is getting contaminated by the waste produced by the humans, as it is noticed by the changes in the flora and fauna of the sea. And most of the rivers on this earth are contaminated to the maximum and will not be able to use without treatment. The toxic chemicals releasing continuously from the landfills is mixing with the surface water, underground water, soil, air, and making all of them poisonous, and it is in turn causing injury to the plants and animals. Thus we get diseases freely by any means like breathing, drinking and eating. What we need: water versus vehicle. Manage the surface water well, conserve water at the individual, family, local, national level. Distribute the flood water to the drought prone areas with simple irrigation techniques. With better availability of water, we will be able to grow all that we need locally, and the trees will grow bigger and taller, clearing more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Greenery will increase. Dust and pollutions will decrease as the need for vehicles to transport the food articles from the periphery to the center and from center to the periphery decreases. Incidence of the respiratory diseases decreases. With the maintenance of optimum soil moisture with the plant and tree cover, it prevents drought and desertification. If we do not manage the surface water well with this population, then we will grow whatever is possible at the place wherever it is possible, depending upon the soil, present availability of water, altitude, and so on. Through our hard work, this seems okay for us. We use more and more vehicle to transport food articles from the place to place, causing more pollution due to more vehicles, more buildings for the storage, more widening and lengthening of the roads, cutting more and more trees in the name of roads and buildings. The trees which get escaped from the cutting will not grow normally due to scarcity of water and pollution. More destruction of forest and agriculture land, making the air dry and thus more evaporation and decreasing in the water level. Decrease in the soil moisture will increase the generation of particulate matter. If you do not manage the surface water well with this population, then increase in the vehicle and transportation for food, grain, proportionately increases the area covered by the drought and decreases the overall yield of food grain. There is more air, water, food, land, light, sound pollution. Increase in the vehicles will generate more volatile organic compounds, greenhouse gases, particulate matters, which can cause health impairment, respiratory diseases both in the animals and the plants, facilitating the flood, drought, global warming and climate changes. Solutions to save the health and save earth. Plant trees around the house like an extra compound. Do not cut the trees. Take all the measures to make the water to percolate into the soil to give more water to the trees so that the trees grows bigger and taller and thus takes up more carbon dioxide inside its body and it will convert it into carbon mass. Better nutrition to the children will make the children to develop better immunity, which is balanced, like it gives good protection against pathogens but no allergic and autoimmune mediated diseases. Local hospitals, local school, local shops should be the theme by upgrading all the hospitals, schools and shops with equality in quality, equality in cost, then emission from the vehicles will reduce drastically. Make houses near the place of work. Do not use vehicles for small distances. Or we should create the office and the house in such a way that it's in a walkable distance. Keep only essential things that we need inside the house. Avoid using dust accommodating things like screens, carpets, decoration items and so on. Consume nutritious poison-free diet. Avoid food containing harmful chemicals, preservative, hormones. Have regular playtime that facilitates overall growth. Grow trees wherever possible. Cover all the possible land with greenery and grass. Avoid roads with more pollution vehicles. Use inhaled medication as prescribed by the doctor to avoid injury and remodeling of respiratory organs. Control population. One child for one parent. Make two families to stay together in one house after the marriage of their children. With this, we can decrease the process of construction of buildings and conversion of lands into residential layouts against soil physiology. Get water for all the drought prone areas from flood prone areas by effective management of surface water, example through reticular canal system. Grow trees in at least 4 lakh square kilometers of land in India. Grow all that is extra, that is, grow all what we eat in the land which is within 6 to 8 kilometer radius or 250 square kilometers of land around our residences. With this, we can save forest and agriculture land, decrease in the transportation of food articles from place to place, preserve purity and freshness of air, water, and food. All these are possible with a reticular canal system for effective management of available surface water by controlling the flood to the extent possible and eradicating the drought to the maximum by diverting the flood water to the drought prone areas. Connecting people of different places with convenient road and railway track system. They are the short paths with conservation of agriculture and forest areas. Making the people to live in model villages and thus decreasing the area of agriculture and forest land consumed in the name of residences, offices, schools and bus stands, railway stations, roads, railway tracks and so on. Model nation achieves good quality in education, health, lifestyle. With this, all of us can lead good life, which is simple, secure, easy, happy, prosperous, energetic, healthy and long living. Save earth and get good for all. Most of the common people are good. Most of the leaders who administer the common people are also good. All of them wanted to do good only. Common people may find difficulty in doing good, leave about for others, even for themselves. Leaders thinks and does good for the people, which depends on their way of understanding on so-called good work, its feasibility in long run, resources for the same in long run, its effects on the people and sustainability of the environmental resources if they continue the same good work for a long time. Most of us gets excited on seeing or receiving short-term benefits. Most of us are not even think or understand or does, which makes all of us good in long run with sustainability. Doing good excessively to all at all the time, at all the places, even from the government, make the resources to go for empty and even in the environment, because there is a limit for everything. Later things may take their own way, that we need to know where, when and how. Thank you for listening to my long speech. I think you got an idea to solve the problems of the nation and this world, that in turn solve the problems of your life. If you like this, then you please subscribe my channel and share with your friends, relatives and family members till it reaches all the leaders of this world, so that this world remains as it is for a number of years. Thanks once again.